Hello, everyone, and welcome back to a special episode of the Royal Watcher podcast, where Sam and I are coming with you with probably one of the most exciting discoveries that we've come across in this decade.
Yes, how does it feel, Sad, to be the author of this world exclusive?
I'm still really in shock at times, but it's been the most amazing experience. For those who are listening, I'm currently in Malaysia to attend the wedding of the son of the Sultan and Queen of Pahang. And I have come across this discovery that the Queen's striking Diamond Bandeau is actually Queen Mary's lost lozenge tiara that was last worn by Princess Margaret.
Well, that is a turn up for the books.
I know the whole kind of process to get here has been really crazy, but it's really nice talking to you about this, Sam, because we kind of had this idea a few months ago that it might be the same tiara, and then we kind of just went cold on it and didn't really pursue that. So it's nice to see it kind of come back, and now it's a big find.
It's one of those things where we discussed so many things that when I did go through the WhatsApps, I was just like, oh yeah, we did talk about this. Then we spoke
Yeah,
about 3 million other things. So okay.
I know. We go on so many random tangents that it's hard to keep track sometimes.
Well, see, this random tangent worked out.
I know. So I'll start actually at one of the ceremonies 2 days ago. The bride wore this striking diamond bandeau tiara, which we've seen Queen Azizah wear, and she attached four diamond brooches, so three beautiful diamond stars and this Art Deco brooch in front of it. But while I was at the ceremony, I mentioned to Queen Azizah that I have a feeling that actually might be Queen Mary's bandeau. And she was like, "Oh, that's an interesting theory." And I sent her pictures when I came back, and she didn't see them until the following afternoon when I was at a museum with her sister and her son, the Crown Prince, and a friend. And it was crazy when I opened my phone and I had missed calls from her, and the whole process. She's like, "It's the same tiara," and so just like that epiphany moment, we're like, "This is actually happening," and like there are no differences at all between the tiaras. So this was as we begin the picture of the bride wearing the tiara, and then Queen Aziza sent me a picture of the tiara set up in that way as well.
Yeah, I mean, that's it. That's Queen Mary's lozenge tiara, isn't it?
I know. It's crazy kind of how we came across this and just like a little theory. And there's still like times when I was like, okay, is it the same tiara? Is it not? But talking to Queen Aziza yesterday afternoon, she was like, come back and come see me at the palace. I have to show you the tiara. So I, on the entire way there, I kept looking at the picture. I'm like, is it the same? And then I just look at different elements and be like, yes, no. There was a bit there, but by the time I arrived at the palace, I was like, no, I'm convinced it's the same piece. There's absolutely no difference. And I don't know about you, Sam, but I could not spot the pearls in um, the pictures worn by Queen Mary and Margaret. But once I've seen this tiara with the pearls, I'm like, yeah, now I can see the pearls in those pictures. Like they were not
Yeah,
that visible before. So
yeah. I didn't realize they were pearls. I thought they were diamond elements as well.
yeah. So I think that's because they were like black and white pictures from 70
Mm.
years ago, so can't blame it too much. And also Queen Mary, if I think we can move on to the next slide and with Queen Mary, she used to attach the pear-shaped pearls from the Girls of Great Britain Ireland tiara, which I believe are the same ones now in the her lover's knot tiara. And she used to attach them on top of this tiara. And there's a couple of pearls that are on like a different angle than the rest. And those must have been the fittings where those pearls attached.
Mm. Yeah, you can see it's yeah, interesting.
Interesting. So this tiara, I think our hypothesis is that it dates from probably the first half of the 1910s.
Ye-
And Queen Mary wore it a few times in the 30s with the pearls. Uh, and it is not the most like Queen Mary design you'd think, but she had a couple of these kind of smaller pieces for dinners and gala events. So it
Yeah,
does work.
because I think some of the misconceptions, one of the misconceptions about Queen Mary is that she only wore very grand jewels and she was very keen to stress her heritage. But, as we saw with the bandeau tiara that was worn by Meghan Markle, Queen Mary had a number of small pieces that she sort of didn't wear to formal events, but was more than happy to go to the theatre in and go to, sort of
Yeah,
smaller events in. So it's perfectly plausible that that she did have a collection of smaller tiaras
exactly.
that
Yeah,
were not
there's so
inherited
especially
by
this tiara, and
the
you have to
Queen
remember
Elizabeth.
that her and the king used to dine in white tie and tiaras every night, so she did need a couple of smaller options.
Exactly, exactly.
But I think this is especially seeing these pictures of Queen Mary, which are even older than the Princess Margaret ones, they just confirmed for me that yes, it's the same thing because you can see the diamond elements are exactly the same. And then we move on to Princess Margaret, who seems to have received the tiara as an 18th birthday gift from Queen Mary. And she wore it just a few weeks after her 18th birthday at the inauguration of Queen Juliana of the Netherlands, which was her first ever tiara event.
Mm. I was going to say this was one of her first, wasn't it?
Yes, so it's now this tiara is even special because Queen Mary actually wore it in one of the last pictures we saw at her last gala event as queen. So that black and white picture, she was that was a gala performance held just a few days before the king died. And
Wow.
then so there's like a very significant history in that sense that Margaret wore this tiara as her first tiara, and Mary wore that as her last tiara. And then we move on to the next slide where we see Margaret wore it a couple of times in 1950 and 51. There was a Dutch state visit, a Danish state visit, probably the Norwegian state visit as well. And then it didn't really appear much for a couple of years. In 1965, there were two appearances of the tiara, and since then it's been missing from the pages of the history books. So that is where our kind of detective work comes in because we kind of know that Princess Margaret sold off an amethyst tiara of Queen Mary's sometime by 1980. And then that has kind of traveled around. The necklace has been worn by Anna Wintour among people. So it'll be interesting that using that as kind of a base, we can probably understand that Princess Margaret might have sold this discreetly sometime in the 70s or 80s. There is kind of mention that she had a big sale in 79 after she got divorced, just to kind of clear things out. And this might have been one of those pieces.
Well, clearly was. But as we say, it was a discreet sale. It's not like today where saying that auction houses today can be discreet when they want to be. So I imagine
Okay.
if we had a good old comb through some of the catalogs back in the day, I'm sure we could find from a royal house origins.
Oh, definitely. If you remember, like the collection of her aunt, Princess Mary, was sold around this time. And then we also had a couple of other kind of big collections. So it isn't that unheard of for royal jewels to be sold, even for someone as close to the monarch. Yeah, and then so now we can move on to where our kind of journey begins. And when this Diamond Bandeau and the next slide came up in the collection of Queen Azizah of Pahang, who told me that the she got a phone call from Princess Chulaborn of Thailand, who's the daughter of King Bhumibol and Queen Sirikit, and she was in New York. She's told Queen Aziz, who was the crown princess at the time, that there's this tiara for sale in New York. Would you like to buy it? And I think without even seeing the tiara, she sent over the money and received the tiara in a cardboard box a few weeks later. So there was really like now that we look at it, there's no kind of source of indication, and Princess Chulaborn never sent over the receipt. There's kind of no way of confirming where the tiara was bought, or that it's been so long that who knows if that jewelry even exists.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting that we would end up in New York.
Yeah, of all places. But then also the amethyst tiara did end up in the US as well. So
Well, I mean, after the fall of the Second French Empire, most of Empress Eugenie's stuff ended up in America, so it's not
I
uncommon.
think in a sense, maybe if Princess Margaret did sell it off in the US, that was probably easier thing to do because it was less well known than it
Yeah,
would be in okay.
definitely.
Yeah. So this is Queen Aziza wearing it. She wore it as crown princess quite a few times. I went to their museum yesterday and I saw this official portrait of her wearing the tiara as well. And then I also love this picture of her with her father-in-law at one of his last birthday celebrations. and she wore this tiara at that time as well, and it's just a lovely piece. Yeah, it's and then if we move on to the next slide, we can see that Queen Azizah's daughters have worn it as well, not just as adults, but as children too. So you can see her daughter, Princess Jihan, wearing it as a child at a cousin's wedding, I believe in 2008. And then Princess Jihan also wore it to the installation banquet of her parents as the King and Queen of Malaysia in 2019.
Beautiful. I'm looking at her earrings and her necklace. Ooh.
It's really a beautiful collection that Queen Aziza has compiled over the years. So one of the actually interesting thing that Queen Aziza told me yesterday, while I was when we first kind of discovered this, she called me and she's like, once her elder daughter, Princess Afzan, who recently got married, said that when she was in school, it was sports day, and she decided to dress up as a princess. So Queen Aziza had given her a Swarovski like crystal plastic tiara in a sense to wear. And in the morning, the nanny came up and said that Princess Afsan refuses to wear that. She says she's a real princess, so she's going to wear a real tiara. And so the queen had this bandeau in her safe, took it out, gave it to her daughter, and she wore that to school. And now that, if you imagine that this is an heirloom from Queen Mary, the fact that a child wore that to school, that's really crazy to think.
Oh, it's such a cute story, though.
It is. And it's really indicative of how kind of close-knit this family is and how they are able to do stuff without any errors. And it's very casual among them. And so it's just really special to see how, even with such precious species, she was like not worried about, oh, it's valuable or it's historic and that sort of stuff. She was like, if my daughter wants it, she'll get it.
Yeah. Well,
So
that's what you're supposed to do with these things.
exactly. So Princess Jihan wore it most recently, and then we saw it worn by Tengku Tasia at the wedding ceremony 2 days ago. So if we see the last slide, we can see the tiara with the brooches added on top, and that has been kind of where, in a sense, this whole process started of trying to find it out. So if you move on now, I think to the last slide. I'll discuss with you how I what happened when I went to the palace to see
Hmm.
the tiara.
And what happened when you
Mm.
went to the palace, Sad?
So I arrived. I was sat down in their audience hall, and Queen Aziza was taking some time, and I'm wondering, okay, where's she gone? Like, she knows I'm here. She's sent me a text that, okay, yes, I'm coming. And so she arrived a couple minutes later, and she's like, you'll never guess what happened. I was so excited to bring it down that the tiara fell and it's broken. So it was the most like craziest thing when we are like, oh no, like what happened? So the fact that we're trying to make this discovery, and you can see in the edge of the corner on the left-hand side that the corner of the tiara has broken off a bit because the place where it fell. And then right after we took these pictures, we confirmed, yes, it's the same tiara, the motifs match, everything. You can see my laptop in the back there with the pictures. But after we confirmed everything, it is just like amazing to see everything like in person. So this is not the only tiara I saw. You can see a tiara underneath this, which is the one that the bride's gonna wear at tonight's ceremony. Then she showed me a massive aquamarine tiara she has in the back. So the whole process was just out of this world. Um, at the same time, we noticed that there's three pearls missing actually. Right after we've gone through the entire process, seen everything, and then it was like full on panic mode where the ladies in waiting and everyone they started getting up and looking around for the pearls, and it was kind of all hands on deck. Two pearls were found, and then the final one was just like not being found for a good like 20 minutes. And it was like a very stressful thing because they're like, if this is a Queen Mary piece, then even that single pearl is worth quite a bit. So it's important to have it all together.
Yeah, but they found it eventually, didn't they?
Yes. So they found it eventually. The poor lady in waiting, I think, had knocked her back out by the crouching everywhere. But it
But
was a very lovely occasion. And then the queen came back and showed me a couple more tiaras. So she took these away and she brought out two more tiaras. And it was kind of an unforgettable evening. We later had dinner together, and we'll both discuss the wedding in a future episode, but this is just something special about the tiara that I think we just wanted to share with you all.
Yes, this is a world exclusive, so we wanted to get it out as soon as possible before certain people might try
And
and
they know
claim
who
it for
they are.
themselves. They know who they are. And I'm just
Yes.
saying,
So,
just remember, I'm London based and I will turn up at your door.
thank you.
But
Well,
no, what
thank
what a
you.
fabulous mystery to solve. I mean, when are you going to go hunting for the Fabergé eggs? Let me know.
I mean, the craziest part is that we knew this was a part. So this has really been like the find of a lifetime. I cannot believe that. I think we manifested it in a sense because we both had a feeling that maybe the same tiara, but when the bride wore it, I think that just clicked everything into place, and I was like, I have to kind of bring it out there and tell the queen and um really kind of get things rolling because this is like most like amazing jewelry mystery, and to have a piece of this provenance come here and then kind of be unknown the entire thing for so many years.
It's amazing, isn't it? There's you think to yourself, what's out there in the vaults, in the private collections? Just so many
I know.
things that we've all wondered, oh, I wonder what happened to so and so, and it's just sitting in the
Yeah.
back of a safe somewhere. It's fascinating. But yeah, this
Eh,
is an amazing discovery, Sad. So I'm looking forward to what else you can find.
I don't know. It's really been a pleasure to kind of go through this process, especially with Her Majesty Queen Aziza, and just kind of make all these discoveries. Because I think in the jewelry world, there's still a lot that we don't know, and but at times it feels like we've kind of reached everything that we can in our knowledge. So whenever stuff like this pops up, it's always so exciting.
So exciting. Yeah, it's fantastic. And yeah, everyone tune in for the probably 3 hour long podcast that we're going to have to do on the wedding.
Oh my God, it's been a crazy experience. So this going to the palace and seeing the tiaras and having dinner with the queen was one of a week long of just exceptional meetings with royalty everywhere. So look forward to talking to you about that soon.
Yeah, fantastic. So yeah, everyone check out Sad's article. And yeah, tune in next time.